as many of my projects, I started this one last year, worked on it for a long while, then put it aside for months on end. I decided to come back to it and finally finish it in the last month or so. I wanted to create some sort of altar, something simple, something that could fit in with a lot of my other stuff. Whenever I'm playing D&D, or even with Mordheim or something like that, where I can build up a board real quick. I wanted something that could be used in that way. I decided to go with a pyramid style design of just progressive steps going up, just to give it some height, some dimensions, so that when playing with it, it wasn't just straight obstacles. Once I cut out the shapes that I wanted, I started to design the brickwork around it, mostly with a old pen, just to give it some, to carve in the grooves, and then I trimmed all the edges of it so that it had kind of like an old stone texture. This didn't take too much time, but I tried to do it for each level as well, kind of blocking out where the next level above would be, as to make it easier when I add it all together. Once I was satisfied with the brickwork, I took a piece of aluminum foil and started rolling it around to give it some more texture, and then reworked the cracks in it just so that they were more defined and easy to make out, especially when I go into the painting process. A lot of that will be kind of smoothed over. Next, I start gluing the layers together using toothpicks to secure them so that they don't slide around or lift off. And then I wanted to add a kind of like a runner down the whole thing, like a rug that led up the stairs to the altar. And so I used paper towel and dipped it into Mod Podge and water just to soak it up, and then laid it across the entire terrain. This ended up working pretty well, I think. The paper itself had texture that added to it, but it also allowed me to, because it was wet, I could rip it a little bit to make it look like an old, ancient carpet, and that was also really, really fun to play around with. With the layers all glued down and the carpet set and dry, the altar was ready to be primed. This is usually my favorite point in a project because it's when everything is unified and it looks like it's getting somewhere. So after priming it, I start in with a good hearty layer of gray, just to cover the whole thing, to give it just like a base coat. And then I splatter on some teal and magenta, which are my favorite stone colors, just to give it some texture underneath and some variety. And then I go in with a light brown, almost like tan color, to dry brush to unify the whole thing. At this point, it's very brown, and so I go in and give it a nice layer of wash to darken everything and get those cracks to be nice and identifiable. I want those bricks to be obvious. And so I put down my wash and then dab off on the main layers, and also just to make sure the puddles don't get too big. Once the wash is all dry, I go in with a more dry brush and start going through all of the places where I want more highlights. So mostly edges of each level, the carpet, and stairs. I used gesso for the stronger highlights, which kind of whited out a lot of what I had done before, which is fine because I like to go back and forth between highlights and washes until I'm satisfied with the end result. So I go in, bring everything really high up again, get those corners almost white before coming in again and bringing in the shadows once more. I decided that the carpet should be a nice rich red, so I used some of my Speed Painter, Army Painter paints to go in and start detailing that part. It may look really bright now, but once I'm done, it actually gets muted a lot more and looks a lot more ancient. The wash that I use for most of my projects is a mix of water, a little bit of dish detergent, and then like a mix of different colors, mostly black, a little bit of white to get that opaqueness, but then browns, greens, and a little bit of red, just to like keep it, while it's still dark, keep it complex in colors. And so with that, I cover the whole thing once more with it, going in a little bit more thoroughly than before, making sure the whole thing's covered, and then before it dries, dabbing off the excess, kind of bringing back those highlights that were underneath it. After the wash dries, I go in with a softer brush to give more highlights with that same white as I used before, working both the edges as well as the carpet now. So beforehand, the carpet didn't have any highlights whatsoever, and now it's getting those like bleached out highlights. I don't know if it's because I didn't paint enough layers on the altar or if just the foam soaked up more than usual, but I noticed that it had a very raw feel to it, as if there was no protection to it. So I decided to give the whole thing a once over with Mod Podge, matte finish Mod Podge, just to make sure it was protected, that the paint wouldn't chip off, and also that the foam was like more sturdy, before going into adding any color to the outside, which I did do next by adding some green paint to give it a little mossy, moldy look to it. I used a makeup sponge to add in little amounts of color before switching over to the big brush to get those areas where I wanted a more bolder contrast. Despite being a matte finish Mod Podge, for some reason, that extra layer that I added on was a lot shinier than I expected. And so adding this color in helped balance that out. It's still, in the end, a bit too shiny for my tastes, but not enough to redo the whole thing again or add in an extra layer of paint.
It's a pretty simple design, but I kind of like it. Not that hard to make, and sometimes that's the best way to do it. This will be really great for D&D. Maybe a scenario with a cult, and the party has to come in and stop the ritual before it's too late. Just enough terrain to make things interesting. Can't wait to use it. Thanks for watching, and if you like this, like, subscribe, and comment, so I know that you're interested and that you want more. If you have any ideas that you'd like to see me explore, please tell me. I'm always looking for new projects.